Happy Victory Friday, Ravens Nation. How are you all feeling after another dramatic, nail-biting comeback win against the Cincinnati Bengals? We're going to get into the game and break down all the good, the bad, and the ugly. There was a little bit of everything in this game. But before I get into all of that, welcome to Flog Talk, your home for all things Baltimore Ravens football. If you're a Ravens fan and you're new to this channel, take a second, like the video, subscribe. We're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers by the end of the season. The season's halfway over, and we're getting closer and closer to that goal. So if you can help me do that, I would genuinely appreciate it. But enough of that. Let's talk about this dramatic, nail-biting game in which, wow, there was just a little bit of everything in this game. So let's talk about the offense a little bit. Start with the good. Well, the first half was not good. In fact, they looked extremely out of sync. Once again, a lot of self-imposed problems, whether it was pre-snap penalties, whether it was just lack of execution. This offense just looked so out of sync outside of their touchdown drive in the first half. Look, I mean, you got to credit Cincinnati. They were making some plays and playing pretty sound defense. But the thing about the Ravens, and I firmly believe this, and that the only team that can really stop this Ravens offense is the Ravens offense. And that has been evident through 10 games this season. When they're on, nobody can really stop this team. But when they are off and when they're bad, it can be very bad at times. And that was evident in the first half. Come out in the second half, still very lifeless. And that was kind of the word I would use to describe this offense until Marlon Humphrey made that clutch strip in the midway through the third quarter. It's just lifeless. You could say out of sync, but you don't hear the Ravens offense getting booed at M&T very often. And that was maybe a wake-up call for them. But they were really just out there, seemed like going through the motions until Marlon Humphrey, which I think is the MVP of the defense this season. I mean, you look back through the season and the amount of game-changing plays he has made for this defense, in a defense that has way underperformed expectations this season. You go back to just the first matchup against Cincinnati when they couldn't even get an incompletion, let alone a stop. Late in the game, down by 3, Cincinnati driving again, made a massive interception, which allowed the Ravens to tie that game, go into overtime, and win. The game against Tampa on the road, Tampa was just doing whatever they wanted early in the game on offense. Down by 3, Tampa about to go up by 10, made a clutch interception in the end zone, flipped the momentum in that game, added another one for good measure later on, which helped the Ravens really run away with that game. And then in this game, when they were down by 2 touchdowns midway through the third quarter, no signs of life on offense. Put your finger on the pulse. There was none. The offense was just dead. Huge strip, momentum-changing, game-altering play, which put the Ravens back in business in plus territory, which they paid off, and then went on to score their last 4 possessions from there. So, obviously, this team, you can slow them down for half of the game, 2.5 quarters of the game, but eventually, this offense is showing you that they will find a way. You can't. It's going to be incredibly difficult to keep them down and out for 4 full quarters of football. They may be slow, they may not execute well early, but they are finding ways to win games. And that is what really matters. They still sit second in the division behind the Steelers. A huge matchup coming up next week. We're going to get into that. Not going to get too far into that in this video, but massive game there, which is what made this game even more important, because if they were to drop this game and then go to Pittsburgh and, God forbid, lose that, which I think there's a very good chance they do, then you're down, what would that be, 3 on the Steelers, assuming they don't lose this week. So, look, this was a massive win. The offense, Lamar Jackson still doing MVP things. Rashad Bateman had a really nice night himself. Mark Andrews came out and played really well in a game that Isaiah Likely was not out there. So, the Ravens stars and playmakers came out when they needed to. Not the most noisy night for Derrick Henry. Just under 70 yards on the night on 16 carries. Almost 4.5 yards a carry. Not awful. Sure, you would like to see him get more touches, but regardless, the offense found its rhythm when it needed to. Okay, now that I've covered the offense part, let's talk about this defense. Okay, just a week after I gave them a lot of credit for holding Denver to 10 points. Pointing out, though, that they did give up a lot of big plays in the first half to Denver, but they only gave up 10 points, which ultimately is what matters. We once again saw this defense is the Achilles heel, which we all knew that. This is nothing new. That they didn't magically get fixed against the Broncos, which is not a great offense themselves. But this defense, honestly, early on in the game, I thought was decent. I mean, well, besides the first drive in which Cincinnati, drove down the field and scored, it seemed like they were playing decent. And then you look up at halftime, and they gave up 160 passing yards. Not great. Look, the fact of the matter is this defense, and the passing defense in particular, they look lost at times. The linebackers seem to be a liability in pass coverage in the middle of the field. Marcus Williams got absolutely toasted by Ja'Marr Chase. Look, T. Higgins wasn't even in this game. And somehow, some way, with everybody in the stadium knowing the Bengals are going to go to Ja'Marr Chase, he still absolutely cooked them. I'm pretty sure he just broke the NFL record for most receiving yards against a single opponent in a season. He cooked them both matchups. I don't want to be a negative Nancy here, but this defense is not good. The pass defense is going to cost this team in this elite offense a chance at a Super Bowl. And I love all of the positivity from Ravens Nation. That's what makes this the best fan base in the NFL. We ride or die with our Ravens. And I'm here for the positivity. I want this to get better. I want them to round the corner as we're past the midway point of the season and really round into form into the defense that we know they're capable of, but they're not performing there. I want that as much as anybody. But the fact of the matter is this defense is very concerning as we're now 10 games into the season, and they are still getting absolutely toasted. And I will give you that not every week they're going to play Joe Burrow and Ja'Marr Chase, but even when they don't, they're still giving up massive plays to everybody they play. You can't live like this. You can't expect your offense to put up 30 a game. This is what we saw against Cleveland when they the offense was a little slowed down. Cleveland was able to slow down this Ravens offense just a little bit through most of the game, and the defense let them down. They still put up 24 in the end, but they could not stop a Jameis Winston-led Browns offense, which had been absolutely awful up until that point of the season. You have a huge divisional matchup against Pittsburgh this coming Sunday, and look, we know the Steelers have a tremendous defense. They have one of the best pass rushers in the game in TJ Watt. They are going to be disruptive. They are going to slow down this Ravens offense, I believe. This Ravens defense needs to stop being so awful. I mean, I'm just going to say it how it is. This defense has been bad. And for a Ravens defense, the standard of the Baltimore Ravens defense, this is not it. And it's frustrating, I think, primarily because we saw this team pretty much this same defense last year be the best defense in the league. Yes, they lost Mike McDonald. Yes, they lost several players. But most of the personnel is the same. And it's just not there right now. So I hope as much as anybody they get this fixed. It needs to get fixed in a hurry. Because I firmly believe, call it dramatic, call it being negative. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be negative. But at this point, if this defense does not get it fixed, they are going to be a early out in the postseason. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am. But if they go into the postseason playing like this or even close to this, this is not a championship defense. I don't really, it doesn't matter. I don't care what anybody says, whatever the pundits have to say that this is the best. Look, it's just not. This is not a championship defense. They will get beat in the postseason. When the margin for error in the playoffs shrinks, you can't have defense like this, giving up bomb after bomb after bomb. It's not sustainable. The offense can't put up 35 on everybody. It's going to come a point where they're going to have to win a game by giving up less than 24 points. Can they do it? We'll have to wait and see. I know they have the talent. It's just, can they execute? Can they find their mojo this late in the season? So, obviously, a win's a win. It's a divisional win. really put the Bengals season on life support and kept pace for the top of the division with a good Steelers team. So that really an important win, very vital as they enter with this week against Pittsburgh and just going forward. You still got 2 games against the Steelers. It was good to sweep the Bengals and really put some more distance between those teams. But look, I want to know what you guys think. What were your takeaways from this game? Are you encouraged, discouraged? Let me know your thoughts about this game down in the comments. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you from Ravens Nation that tune into these videos. Leave a comment, subscribe if you're new. Help me get to 2,000 subscribers. I appreciate all of you guys tuning in, and I will see you all in the next video. Go Ravens!